What's up everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about Blair, aka the Illuminati, and I want to come at it from a slightly different angle than probably what you are used to seeing online already. I don't need to go over all of the events and everything that's going on or the timeline because you probably already know that. I will be coming at this from a viewer perspective, a disappointed viewer perspective at that. Unfortunately, that happens a lot with YouTube, and some of our favorite creators, they end up being not great. So let's get started. Back in 2020, like everybody else, I was inside most of the time. I could go outside, but mostly inside. Was very stressed, didn't know what to do with myself, being laid off from work and it not being in my control and not knowing when I could go back was just like a really stressful time, I'm sure, for everybody. And one thing that I ended up doing to keep myself busy and not stress and not worry was I sewed. I started sewing masks. I would have my TV on in the background and I would be listening to multiple YouTubers. I would just kind of let it autoplay for me. In that time, I found channels like Blair's, the Illuminaughtis. I found Cruel World, Happy Mind. I found Savannah Marie, CC Suarez, all the familiar anti-MLM channels that most of you probably know. I got really hooked. Like, I loved learning about all the different MLM companies. I've never been a big fan of MLMs. They've always seemed kind of like off to me. I didn't fully know why, just nothing ever sat right with me with them. People have tried to recruit me multiple times. I never joined any of them, and I'm really glad that something stopped me from doing that because yikes. So I just enjoyed learning about the different MLMs that were out there and all the different business practices. I really enjoyed Blair's content. She was doing a lot of that kind of stuff. A couple years ago, I watched in real time when that whole situation with Blair and Madison, I'm going to be using first names. I'm not going over their channel names. It's just Illuminaughtii, Cruel World, Happy Mind. It's Blair, Madison. I was watching that in real time when that happened, and I have to tell you, I almost stopped watching Blair at that time because something just did not sit right with me. The way she went on that podcast with the Welsh twins and was just so like not nice, and basically completely lied about the messages that she got from Madison, took the liberty to interpret Madison's tone in a way that just, it wasn't there. She did it on purpose to make Madison look really crappy, and I didn't like that. It just did not sit right. I almost stopped watching right when that all happened. Those two came to an agreement and made amends, and in my mind, if Madison was okay, then I was okay, and I continued to watch Blair. Had Madison come out and said, oh, like, no, I'm not okay, this is full on what happened, whatever, I probably would have stopped then because something just didn't feel right. If Madison could forgive her, who am I to say that she shouldn't, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Now, all the videos that came out, the ones that I ended up being the most excited to see or happy to see were the ones that Savannah and Madison did together, and then of course Madison's. It was really, really good to see her just let it all out, let us all know what happened, even though she had been holding that in for so long, and I'm sure it felt good for her to let the truth come out and not be afraid of that person anymore. One of the things that Blair said about Madison's channel was she like made fun of its size, and you know what, Madison? Look at you now. Like, you've grown so much from your blue kitchen. I just love to see your videos. I look forward to them every time they come out, and I hope you're doing well, and know that you had a lot of people's support back then, even when your channel was smaller. Trust me, a lot of us, I think, knew that there just something wasn't quite right about that situation with Blair. Definitely had your back. Blair covered MLMs, scams, bad business practices from big corporations, greed, corruption, all of that. Now, hindsight is 2020, and in doing those videos, if that isn't the biggest form of deflection and projection I've ever seen in my life, it's wild to me. It's almost as if she thought that if she screamed it, metaphorically, from the rooftop, through her videos, of course, about how terrible these companies were, how terrible the business practices of some of these companies were, how terrible some of these managers and owners, and how awful they all were, that no one would ever suspect or think that she was capable of those same things, because she's sitting here condemning all of these different things. It is literally like the pot calling the kettle black. And what's really sad, when something like this happens, it takes the message that she did have about what is so awful about these companies, and it just gets tainted. It's like, great, the message is important, but you also tainted it with your awful behavior behind the scenes and the way you treat people. And it's unfortunate. And I have to wonder if some of those messages got lost. I hope not. I hope viewers are smart enough to know that, like, just because she ended up being terrible doesn't mean what she did talk about wasn't necessarily true, if I'm making any sense. A lot of the viewers, though, seem to have realized that it was her that was full of shit and not necessarily what she was talking about. So that's good, you know, considering her views are down and stuff. People just kind of like abandoned watching her channel, like, 'cause same. As far as I know, she still hasn't really addressed this. I don't know if she really ever will. She made that one weird video about Illuminati exposed, and then the one tweet. And what's crazy is that tweet is bullshit, in my opinion. How are you going to make a tweet about communication, honesty, respect, and all of that, and figuring things out, and then sending out cease and desists and trying to silence people? If you are not doing anything wrong and you are so sure of yourself and your actions and how you run your business, why are you sending out a cease and desist? It doesn't make any sense. I could probably find a quote from her in any one of her videos condoning the action of sending cease and desist and trying to silence people, but I'm just not combing through those videos. It's rich coming from her, you know? So here's what I have to say to the viewers of those channels, Blair's and others like it. Watch with skepticism. Watch with a side eye. Take everything with a grain of salt. Don't put anyone on a pedestal, and be prepared for this to happen again, because it happens over and over and over again. I am sad to see it in the genre of content that I enjoy watching, but I'm not surprised. I'm really not. And to the YouTubers out there, no one expects perfection from you. They really don't. They just don't want to be lied to, manipulated, things like that. We don't want that. We're human, you're human, everyone makes mistakes. Just keeping your ego in check and not being a huge hypocrite is really all we ask for. All right, y'all, have a good one. I gotta go. Bye.